In this video, I'm going to show you how to use a Grunge art Photoshop action. So this is a photo that I'm going to use as an example for a demonstration of the action. And the way the action works is you open up your photo, you fill in your subject with a color, and just play the action. Alright, so this is the effect that the action creates. As you can see, the action creates a lot of details. There's some grunge and splatter textures. There are a lot of sketch lines, the glows, and there is a lot of options for customizing the results. Alright, so I'm just quickly close these windows. And after you open up your photo, before you use the action, there are a few things that you should check to make sure that the action will run without any errors. So the first thing that you should check is that your photo is a background layer, so it should be called a background and have this little lock icon. And if it's something like this or anything else, just go to layer, new, and just choose a background from layer. And then click on the menu icon over here and just choose the panel options. And this option should be checked here, the add copy to copy layers and groups. And then go to the image mode, and your photo should be in RGB color mode 8-bit channel. And check the image size here. So you should use the photos that are have a high resolution, and you should avoid using photos that are less than 1500 pixels wide or high. For best results, you should use photos that are around from 3500 pixels wide or high. Okay, to load the action, just go to Window, Actions, and click on the menu icon here, Load Actions, and just choose the action that came with load. Click Load. The action will appear in your Actions panel. And to load the brush, you can just hit B on your keyboard to select the brush tool. Right click anywhere inside the canvas, and just click here into the gear icon, and you can choose load brushes. I'm just gonna choose replace brushes because I already loaded the brushes, so I don't duplicate them. So just choose replace and just choose the brushes that came with the load. Click load, and the brush will appear in your brushes panel. Alright, so now what you have to do is just go to layer, new layer, to create a new layer, and just name it brush. And it's very important that you type the word brush all letters lowercase, otherwise the action won't work. Just click OK, and now you can just pick a brush tool, choose a soft brush, choose any color, color does not matter here, and just brush over your subject, just like this. Alright. And I've already done brushing before, so I'm just gonna open my PSD file. Here it is. So you don't have to be this precise with the edges. Alright, so after you finish with the brushing, it's important that when you brush over your subject, that this layer here is selected, so you have this color fill on this brush layer. All you have to do now is to just select the action and click play. And the action will stop for 3 times, asking you to do some things. So just gonna click play now. Alright, so here's the first message, and it says, now just smudge over your subject. Proper tool and brush will be already selected by the action. Just make sure that selected tool has the following settings: mode normal, strength 100%. Also feel free to change brush size. After you finish, click play button again. Please refer to video tutorial if you need any help here. Choose stop to proceed. So just click stop, and as it says in the message, the proper tool will be already selected, also the brush. You can feel free to change the brush size here using square brackets on your keyboard. And just make sure your mode is set to normal here. By default, it's already set to normal, and straight is by default set to 50%. You just increase it to 100. Alright, and all you have to do now is to just smudge your subject here, just like this. And it doesn't matter if you don't cover some parts of your subject, right, if they are slightly visible like this, so that's up to you. You can smudge it as much as you want, right? Alright, so all you have to do is to just click play again. And now it says repeat the previous step. After you finish, click play button again. Please refer to video tutorial if you need any help here. Choose stop to proceed. So you again choose stop, and just repeat the previous step using the same tool, the same brush, the same settings, but you can change the brush size anytime. Alright, so if you can use, for example, a smaller brush for some parts, just like this, or a larger one. Now, just gonna click play again. And this is the last message. It says now repeat the previous steps once more. And after you finish, click play button again. Please refer to the tutorial if you need any help here. Choose tab to proceed. So this is the last message, and you just need to repeat the step once more. Alright, that's it. And all you have to do now is to just click play button again. And I'm going to fasten the video here and get back as soon as the action is finished, and then I'm going to go through all the layers to show you how each layer works and how can you customize the effects that you got to get the desired results. Okay, so the action here just finished, and first I'm just gonna close the actions panel and just gonna expand these layers panel a little bit. So the first thing that you probably want to do each time you run the action is to just quickly close down all these folders, because you're going to be much easier to work with the layers. So how to quickly do that is to just hold Control and Alt buttons for PC or Command Option for Mac. And while this folder is selected, just click onto this little arrow here, and that way we're just going to close down all the folders. Alright, so the first layer we got here is the brush layer. And there's the brush layer he made in the beginning. So why I have this layer here is because this action is made so every time you run the action you will get unique result. So what that means is if you just delete this folder and just play the action using this same brushed area, you're going to get unique results, as all these textures and sketch lines are completely randomized, so they're always going to be differently arranged and deployed. Alright, so here we got a Grunge folder. So if we just turn it off and on, it will show the original photo. And what we got here is the overall contrast 1 layer. So it's giving a bit of the contrast to the photo, and you can just double click here, and here we got these 3 points. You can use them to change the brightness of the photo. So this one here is affecting shadows in your photo. This one you can just click on this arrow to return it to the default settings. This one here is affecting midtones, and this one is affecting highlights. Alright, what we got here is the overall contrast 2. So how this layer here works is you change the contrast by changing the opacity of this layer. So you can just click on the lever opacity and drag it to the side. Alright, you can see it's very sensitive, so just gonna use some lower values like this. And for each layer where you need to change the opacity to customize it, you can just click it to the word opacity and drag it to the sides, or you can just click on this arrow here and then just move this pointer. Alright, what we got here is the overall saturation. So when you double click here, you can change the saturation of the whole photo, and I'm going to set to this value. And here we got a layer. It says reveal original photo, brush white into the mask. So if you just disable this mask by clicking the shift button, holding a shift and click on the layer mask, you see it will just reveal the original subject. Right, so what you can do is just select the layer mask, just pick a brush tool, just gonna use soft brush and set foreground color to white, and just brush over the areas where you wish to reveal the original subject. So just gonna brush like this, and you can brush with a black or a place where you wish to remove the subject again. Alright, something like that. And now as you can see, it's not well blended. So what you can do after you brush over the same areas, you just change the opacity. Alright, so just gonna set something like this. Okay, and what we got here next is the glows. So if you just turn it off and on, uh, you can see the difference. And it can happen sometimes depending on your photo, that after the action is finished, your photo just looks too much highlighted, that the highlights are very strong, and that's because of this layer here. So it depends on your photo, but if that happens, you can just, after you action is finished, just hide this group here, and after you finish with casting, you just turn it on again, and if needed, remove the glow in some areas. I'm going to show you how to do that now. So I've got this layer mask here. If you wish to remove the glow on some specific area, you can just pick a brush tool and set foreground color to black, and just brush over the areas where you wish to remove the glow. So if you have very intense glow in some place, you can just remove it like that. And what you can also do, if you just want to remove it slightly, for example, you can brush over those areas and then just open the properties panel and just lower the density. Alright, if you set it to 0, it's like you didn't brush it at all. If you set it to 100, it will remove completely, so you can just set the value that you like here. But if you, for example, wish to remove the glow a little bit over here, but for example you wish to remove it a little bit more here, then what you should do is just lower the opacity of the brush. For example, something like this, and then when you click, it's just going to remove depending on the percent here. It's not 100% opacity, it's not going to remove it totally. So you can then just, on the place where you wish to remove it more, you can just click several times, or just click once, depending on how much you wish to remove the glow. Alright, so here we got the glow 1, and you can change the glow opacity. If the glow appears too intensive, you can just click with the word opacity, just lower it. And also this glow has its own layer mask. You can just remove this glow separately. If you brush it to this layer mask, you're going to remove any glow layer here. If you just brush it this layer mask, you're just going to remove the glow 1. And it's the same with the others, so they all got their layer mask. So this is the glow 2. And as you can see here, we got the adjustment layer. So what you can do is you can just change the hue values and just randomize the glow colors. Alright, and it's the same with this one or here. You can also change the saturation. And what we got here are the spread glow horizontally and spread glow vertically layers. So all you have to do is to just, if you wish to use one of these, just select it and turn it on. Alright, I'm gonna use this one here. And as you can see what it does, this one is just gonna spread the glow horizontally, this one is going to do it vertically. And what you can do if you wish to spread it even more, you can just press Ctrl T or Command T on your keyboard. And as I'm using a horizontally spread glow, I just can increase the width here. Alright, if I'm using the vertical glow and wish to spread it even more, then I would just increase the height here. So I can just type here 150%. Right, just press enter, and it's just now it's more spread horizontally. And you can see both these layers got this layer mask. What that layer masks are doing is they are removing this glow on the areas where we got these two glows, because on the areas where they are overlapping each other, there the glow will be more intensive. So if we just remove this layer mask, you'll see it on the areas where we got these two glows. This one is just going to make the glow more intensive. And what you can do, you go to the properties panel. If you can't find the properties panel over here, you can just go to window and just open it over here. So if you set density to 0, it's just like you can remove the layer mask. If you set to 100, then it's going to be completely removed on the areas where you have these two glows. So I'm just gonna set it to something like this. Alright. And now I'm just gonna skip this folder. First go into this one here. So this one here is the main photo. If I just turn it off, and then you can see when I turn it off, it will remove your subject. Only this area here is visible of the subject. That's because we have brushed over here to reveal the original photo. If you just hide it, then the completely subject will be removed. Alright, and what you got here is the main subject layer. and you can change the opacity here. You see it's got the layer mask, so this layer mask is just removing the edges to make a better blending. If I just hold a shift and click on the layer mask, I'm just gonna hide the layer mask, and then uh, I'm gonna disable the layer mask so the edges will be clearly visible. And this one here is the subject contrast, so it's also got removed on the edges, and you can just click on the word opacity and just to adjust the subject contrast. Alright. And if you wish to reveal some areas of your subject are removed by this layer mask, you can just disable the layer mask or just brush with a white color. For example, over here, you're gonna start revealing the edges where you brush. And what I like to do is to just select this main layer mask here. So when you brush into this layer mask with the black, you're just gonna remove both of these layers on that areas, and just gonna brush over here where the subject is well blended with the textures in the background to make her to blend it like this to just make some abstract effects. Alright, so just gonna brush a little bit over there and a little bit over here as well, and maybe over here, just like that. Alright, so if you just turn on the layer mask, you can see the difference. And so now just gonna go to the edges lines. So if you just turn on this one, it's uh, just gonna show the white edges in the highlights in your subject. So you can just click on the word opacity to adjust the intensity of the white edges. Alright, and here we got the black edges. I'm just gonna leave them by default. So why I firstly customize this layer here is because of this layer mask. It can happen when you remove the edges like I have done here by brushing here, and then you turn on these layers, they reveal the edges again, as you can see. But now depending on the effect that you wish to achieve, but if you wanted to blend it well like this, then what you have to do is to just remove the edges on the same place where you removed the main photo. So you keep the highlights of these white and black edges all over the photo, but not to the areas where you have removed the main photo. So you just hold an Alt or Option for a Mac, you just drag this layer mask or the edges line folder, just choose yes, and you can see a difference if I hide and show the layer mask. So now the edges are removed on the areas where you remove the main photo. Alright, so what we got here is the overall textures color. So when you double click here, you can just change the hue value and get randomize all the colors, all the textures, and also the background. So you can quickly get a lot of color combinations. Alright, I'm not going to use it in this example here. So here we got a textures. Right, so they are layered, and here we got a texture one. So if you wish to remove some part of this text, you can just brush black into this layer mask, and if soft brush is not giving you the proper results, you can sometimes, it's good to use some of these splatter brushes, for example like this, and just lower its size, and then just click and brush the texture on that areas. Alright, you got the adjustment layer here, so you can change its color, and just gonna increase saturation, something like this, and choose any color. Right, you can just randomize it, and I'm just gonna increase the saturation to this one as well. So this is a texture 2. And here we got a texture 3, so it's an additional texture. If you wish to have the more details, you can just turn it on, and you got its adjustment layer that has already set the saturation to 65. And I'm just gonna lower the opacity of this one, something like this. And we got texture 4. It's also got the same situation with these two, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. And here we got another 3 textures. We can play with the opacities of each of these, the saturations, the hue values, get a lot of different results. If you brush black with this main layer mask, you're going to remove any of those textures on that areas, right? Here we got sketch lines, so that are all these lines here, and they're layered as well. Okay, and as you can see, some of them have these color fill layers. So what you can do is you can just double click into this color box and just change the color. Alright, what I like to do is to just use the color here, some of they have in the photos. So you just double click on the color box and it just picks any color from your subject, from anywhere in the photo. So just gonna choose here something like this. Alright, and if you wish to colorize this layer here that doesn't have a color fill layer, you can select any of those color fills, just hold the Alt or Option for a Mac, just drag it below, and then hold Control and Alt and G, or Command Option G to create a layer mask. Then double click here, change color. I'm just gonna set this to white. Okay, you can also play with the opacities of these layers, and if you wish to hide, to remove some of the sketch lines, you can simply hide that layer, right? Or brush it to the black with a black, and it's the layer mask into this main layer mask here. And here we got the vignette effect, so you can change the opacity over here. Just gonna keep it default in this example. And here we got a background textures. So when you're removing some parts of your subject, it may happen that after you remove both on the edge lines and the main photo, this layer here still gives some details on that area. So what you can do then is to just drag any of those layer masks there, for example like this, and then remove this layer on that area, so you can remove the edge lines, the main photo as well. So these are just adding some these layers are not visible. They can be visible in the areas where you removed your subject, right? As they are behind. And here we got a background textures 3. Alright, I'm just gonna hide this layer now. I'm not going to use it. And here we got a background color. So when you double click here, you can choose any background color that you like. Right, so I'm just gonna use some bright color, something like this. I'm gonna choose OK. And if you wish to use your original photo background, then just simply hide this layer, and it's going to reveal your original background. What you can also do is select this layer mask, pick a gradient tool, set this a black and white gradient, just choose a linear gradient, and then you can just make a gradient here into the layer mask and make the color. For example, it goes from the top and then it removes as it goes to the bottom, right? You can make a lot of different effects. And what I like to do is to just double click here, and here just click Alt or Option for a Mac and move these parts to the pointer. And what you're doing when you just move it is that it blends this layer with the background where the background have these colors in these black colors in this range here, right? So on all places where the background layer have these colors, this layer is going to be blended or actually removed, is not visible that areas, right? So as you're expanding the range, it will get more and more removed. You can do the same with these white colors here. Alright, so just gonna move it all the way to the right, just like this. You can also use the bullet pointers, just like that. So just gonna choose OK, and that's it. Maybe after you finish with casting, you will want to again change the saturation or some of these or the contrast is. Also, what I forgot to mention, if you want to make the glow more intensive, you can duplicate the whole folder by pressing Ctrl or Command J, just like this, or just separately duplicate this layer or this one, right? So you can make the glow more intensive on that way. And what I'm now going to do is to just press Alt Control Shift E or Command Option Shift E to make a snapshot, and then just press Control Shift U or Command Shift U to desaturate the photo, and then go to the filter, other high pass, set radius to 2 pixels, and just change its blending mode to hard light. So it's going to give some nice sharpening to the whole photo. And you can change the amount of sharpening by changing the opacity here. I'm just going to leave it to 100. And let's just quickly check the before and after. So this is the before, and this is the after. Alright, so I hope you understood everything, and thanks for watching.